everybody. Welcome back. This is the week you missed. I'm running the show, I guess, today. So Jeremy and me, Todd, are here to take you through some things and talk some shit and go over some crazy stuff that's been happening this week. So, Jeremy, I think the elephant in the room is, to me, what Joe Biden announced last night. I don't know if you been following that, but
mandatory vaccinations for everyone.
Not everyone, and because it's so funny because him and his press secretary Jen Psaki, within like the last 6 months, they were on the record being like, there will be no vaccine mandates. We're going to encourage employers to encourage their workers to get vaccinated, but it's not the role of the federal government to mandate vaccines. And it's like, hey, you know what? I agree with you. It's not the role of the federal government to mandate vaccines. Not just because it is obviously blatantly unconstitutional for them to be able to do that, but also it's like, no, this should be more of a locally controlled issue through states, through corporations, through whatever. And last night he made several announcements as part of his 6-point plan. And the most controversial one by far is that if under OSHA authority, they're making a new rule that says if you have more than 100 employees, that your staff either must be vaccinated or go through weekly COVID testing. And I believe the fine for non-compliance is, I think, $14,000 per incident. So this new order, the companies with over 100 employees, I think it covers about 80 to 100 million US workers. So a lot of people covered. And I don't know, like, what is what was your initial reaction to that?
I got a lot of reactions because, overall, I do think everyone should kind of get vaccinated. So, I'm definitely on that side. And I feel like it sucks. There's some people who are really adamant about not getting it. And when that happens, I don't think you gotta, I guess, change plan a little bit. I think mandating it is not cool. I don't think it's like dictatorship or tyranny or anything, but it's like, that's a lot of control over people's bodies. It's just not the best look. And I can't imagine if Donald Trump did something of that nature, how much he would be getting blasted for it. And it's just a little odd that some people don't realize that they'd be mad at this if it was someone else, but they're not mad at it because it's Biden. And then I guess I need to read more into it because I haven't read more than just the headlines and seen that it's mandated for government workers. But what are they supplying to people? I guess I don't know. I guess they're supplying the vaccine, but what are all the little words or the fine print? Are people going to have to get all of the boosters? How often do you have to get the boosters? Are you going to have to get the booster within a month or 2 months or what? What if you get sick? Do you still have to go to work? Do you get insurance for that? What about if your reaction to the vaccine makes you out of work for 2 weeks? Are you going to get paid for that? And a lot of these things, I'm talking before I read into it, but I can't help but think that they're not thought out. And just like the evacuation in Afghanistan, it's not thought out. And then when bad things start happening, like people start getting sick and not being able to work, whatever it might be, then we go, oh, we didn't realize that would happen. It's no, we just didn't think about it. I feel like there's a lot of implications that need to be thought out before we do something like that.
Oh, 100, definitely right. And, I think the other thing about this is that, if you rewind to when Donald Trump was still president and Kamala Harris herself basically made a statement during some time being like, I don't trust this vaccine that's being developed under the Trump administration. You had, I think both California and New York were saying that when the vaccine is available, we will not use it in our states until it passes a state review board. And I think it was all just bluster. I don't think any of that actually happened. But, I think everyone conveniently forgets that the people that are now mandating the vaccine, when it was being developed under Donald Trump, had no shortage of misgivings about the vaccine. And we're talking a whole lot of shit. about its development for purely partisan reasons. Purely partisan reasons. If we had had a Democrat president developing the vaccine and running Operation Warp Speed or instituting Operation Warp Speed, they never would have said shit. It would have been, this is going to be the greatest vaccine ever. We're so lucky to have this forging of the government and private sector to create this vaccine in record time, and we're all lucky to have this. So I think that, you know, it's just, it's sad and annoying, and, you know, and there's a phrase that I've liked to use when doing like projects and stuff, and it's like, it just feels like the government is basically trying to like build the plane while the plane is flying, or it's like, you know, trying to throw down track in front of the train as it's barreling down the road or down the track. It's not, this all just feels reactive, not proactive, not planned out, not thought out. This is very similar. I'm seeing online many people saying this is very similar to the eviction moratorium extension that the Biden administration basically was like, even after the Supreme Court said you can't extend it again through the CDC, it has to be done through the legislature. Legislature didn't do anything because the only thing they just hate doing their actual goddamn jobs. So instead they do it, and they basically are like, we're going to extend it, and we're pretty sure this is going to get struck down by the Supreme Court. And this is the same thing. Many people are saying it's like, there's no way that this is going to survive a court challenge. And you've already got Republican governors and individual corporations lining up and saying, we will not comply, we will sue you, we will see you in court, fine us all you want, we're going to come back at you. And I think that, you know, things like this, and you know, to your point about the boosters and everything else, it's like, where does this end? And my personal stance on boosters, I was vaccinated in, I believe, April with the J&J one and done. And so far, they haven't really been talking much about a J&J booster, which I'm happy about, but there's not a damn chance I'm getting a booster if the pharmaceutical companies still have legal liability protection where people can't sue them in case they get affected, killed, or otherwise by the vaccine. Because that is happening. I'm not going to go out here and be like, it's killing half the people and you're going to die if you get it, but it happens. And there have been celebrities and other well-known people that have said, I had a really bad reaction to this. My own brother ended up having to be on an inhaler for like a month because he ended up having like weird shit with his lungs immediately following the vaccine. Did the vaccine cause it? They're not sure, but my brother was fine until he got the shot. And then he had something he had to deal with for a while. So that's my personal stance on that, is that there's no way I'm taking another booster unless I had to travel somewhere or anything. But, you know, I'm not getting another booster until.
Or you had a government job.
Yeah. Thank God I don't. Jesus, that'd be the worst. But it's just, it's ridiculous. And, the other nice thing about this, you know, well, Jeremy, this is just following the science, right? This is good science. We need more people vaccinated, right? Like, right? So it's also just good science that this order also exempts the United States Postal Service, because, you know, that's just science.
No way.
They're not affected by this.
No way.
That's just science.
Why is that?
Oh, I don't know. Who knows? It's science, though, Jeremy. And how dare you question our benevolent betters?
Well, that actually brings me. I kind of have two things I wanted to talk about because I can never choose. But one of these is there's a smaller one. I'm gonna actually just piggyback it onto yours, and then I'll talk about the other one. But basically, I saw in Philadelphia yesterday, they announced that the city council meetings are going to be virtual because it's too dangerous to have it in person. Sorry, why did you guys just allow a 50,000 person concert right next to City Hall? And it's like, it's so backwards. It's like, do you guys think it's dangerous? If you think it's dangerous, why do you allow an outdoor concert with 50,000 people? And if you don't think it's dangerous, why are you just having virtual meetings? Like, go to work. You're a group of 8 people, or I don't know how many councilmen there are. You can go in a room and probably be 20 feet apart and still have your meeting. You guys just don't want to work.
Well, they're all vaccinated too.
And they're all vaccinated.
I would have to assume.
Well, yeah. So it's like, why are you guys, they pick and choose when it's convenient for them. I'm scared of the vaccine, so now I don't want to go to XYZ. or everything's safe, I got a vaccine, so I can do blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's so backwards. And that's what's making people so upset with government and so just unwilling to follow any rules or any recommendations now. Because it's like every time they say something, there's one or two or most of high level officials not following their own recommendations.
Yeah, well, look, let's be real. It's follow the science and don't do risky things unless it messes up our money. It's follow the science and let's open schools, encourage people to go out there and mix, unless it's inconvenient for me and I'd rather work from home and I don't want to have to go to the city hall or wherever they hold their council meetings. And that's why I think anyone with half a brain who has been following this, and look, I am not a COVID denier. I am vaxxed. I wear a mask where I go. I'm not someone who's trying to buck these rules or be a jerk about it. But like, if you're a halfway thinking person and you're paying attention to this, all you're going to see is the glaring inconsistencies with which they operate. That's not good. And the thing is, like, I'm a fairly intelligent person who can critically think. For someone who is already maybe, not so smart or even just average intelligence, who doesn't really trust the government, to see them acting this way, I don't blame people for being skeptical of this stuff anymore. I really don't. How could you not be? Especially if you're someone who's from a poor community, whether you're black, white, or any color, that has been sort of shit on and forgotten by the government. And you're going to trust these people now, especially when they seemingly change their message and change their policy and change their plan on a week-to-week and month-to-month basis in ways that are seemingly contradictory. I think it's absolutely insane. And I think honestly, I think the city council is doing it because they just would rather do it from home. Honestly, I think that's like, they're not scared. They're not at risk.
There's kids going to school. Why are there kids going to school if it's so dangerous? Like, that's insane. And they just voted on that or whatever. It's like, nothing adds up. They can't align like anything ever. It makes no sense. But well, let's go to mine. I feel like I don't want to be so angry and negative, but I feel like it's just too easy to be these days. But basically, the storm that hit last week, Hurricane Ida, was pretty wild, although like didn't even really look like it rained outside of my house much. But 2 blocks away, I'm sure you saw 676 was flooded. It was like 14 feet. Absolutely nuts. But basically my thing is New Orleans got rocked, right?
Yeah.
And now, like, I saw some reports saying, oh, it might take 5 to 7 years to rebuild this area of New Orleans or whatever. Why are we rebuilding?
Yeah.
It happens. It happens every few years. And it's only going to happen more and more. So I don't understand. Like, I feel terribly for the people of New Orleans. I think we actually spoke about this. We did. I love New Orleans, but why are we rebuilding there when we have these storms going on? It just makes no sense to me. And I feel like, I don't know, just doesn't make sense to me. I don't really get it.
And it's also because I think the other thing is too, it's like, okay, well, maybe like you go down to the shore, you see when you're near the beach, how are all the houses built? They're built on stilts. You park your car under them, and it's designed so that you could have like 15 feet of water rise, and it's not going to touch the main living quarters.
It's mandatory where my beach house is actually my family's beach house. All new constructions have to be like over 10 feet on stilts.
Absolutely. Or make it, and I know in many like Caribbean countries and other like islands and places where they get, rocked by these hurricanes, at this point, many buildings are basically made out of like solid concrete so that you could have a hurricane come through and basically blow and wash every single thing out of the house. And then you would just have to like power wash it, let it dry, and then refurnish it. And then you're good to go. Like, don't stop using drywall, stop using carpeting, stop using hardwood. Like,
new materials. There's new materials that will like dry and not mold. Like, why don't we mandate that instead of mandating vaccines? Let's mandate good building or better, cleaner, more strong building. But that actually reminds me of something else I wanted to mention. So it's pretty cool. I forget who this guy was, some billionaire. I think the guy who sold like jet.com to Walmart. he's trying to build a new city basically from scratch, because like all of the cities we have were started hundreds of years ago when there wasn't like a lot of information on what's best for transportation, for the environment, for people like moving around, for cars, public transportation, whatever. So he's like, I want to develop this new city from scratch and like make it a good one, and make it like work well. I think one of the areas he was thinking of, there's like 7 areas. The area I'm voting for or rooting for is Appalachia, which would be pretty dope. But like that sounds really smart, having a city in Appalachia based on all of the projections from like Al Gore's The Inconvenient Truth. All of the cities within 25 miles or 50 miles of coast are probably not going to be here at a certain point. And they're saying it's going to be sooner rather than later. So why, if that's going to be the eventual outcome, don't we start building more inshore? So like Appalachia makes a lot of sense. That's a place that will not get hurt from a hurricane or from whatever it might be. And I guess it just, it's time and time again, why does it take a billionaire who everyone hates? Like people just hate billionaires for no reason. The girl actually I was talking to on Bumble, who the conversation basically ended when we started talking about billionaires. Because I was like, how you bashing a billionaire when the phone you're using was created by a billionaire and the service we're using was created by a billionaire and it's running on a network created by a billionaire. And it's like, so if you don't want billionaires, stop using all of their stuff. Like they're not all bad. But why does it take a billionaire to do something this and develop this when the government has all of the resources, all of the funds? Why can't they develop something like that instead of putting $1 billion into Hurricane Katrina that still probably hasn't been spent, that just got washed away again for us to just throw more money at it?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think this, you covered a lot of things there, and I think this reflexive hatred of people that have made a lot of money is, I don't think, a good thing. I think it's just like, I think it's jealousy and shame and anger sort of all rolled into this, like, and then redirected and trying to be spun as, oh no, it's just equity. Oh no, it's just fairness. Oh no, it's just common sense, economic policy. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Part of the reason you're pissed at this is because you don't have it.
Yep.
And so I think it's hilarious that you ended and you deaded
no, she ended it. She ended it. She
oh my God,
started bashing billionaires, and I just started defending them. I was like, yo, like, what? And then, well, basically, my question is too. Everyone just says I hate billionaires, right? What about people worth 900 million? Or what about 100 million?
Well, exactly. So where do you draw the line?
Yeah, where do you draw the line? Is 100 million okay? So what if that guy who made 100 million just made a good investment and 10x in a couple of years? All of a sudden, he's a bad guy. You can't just have these labels and these boxes that you put people in without knowing who it is. There's probably a lot of billionaires who are horrible people, but we need to identify all of the horrible things that they do, not just say they're horrible because they're a billionaire.
Well, yeah, and it's like, look, there are horrible people that are dirt poor, and there are horrible people that are filthy rich, and it just is the way it is. Like, I've been robbed at gunpoint. Those guys were not nice people. I guarantee you, they were not billionaires.
Right.
So it's it's just silly, and I would love to see that. I'm going to look into this private city thing, or what this guy's doing, because I think that's a really cool idea. And honestly, I think. Are all the proposed job sites or city sites in like sort of economically depressed areas?
I wouldn't say like maybe depressed, but yeah, they're areas that you wouldn't really expect.
Well, yeah, I mean, you certainly wouldn't build it like next to New York City or Philadelphia or any major city. That would make sense. It would be super expensive.
Yeah, when I saw there's like 6 places, and I saw Appalachian, I was like, you know what, that would be awesome, because what is the closest city in like Appalachia? Fucking like Cleveland or something. Or like, I don't even know. West Virginia, can't even think. But what's the city in West Virginia? Is there a city in West Virginia?
Morgantown, where the university. That's probably the biggest city, maybe. I don't know. Sorry, West Virginia.
Yeah, Damn, there used to be poorest state in the union. I wonder if they still are.
Yeah, so I got one other thing I wanted to chat about. This might, so I don't know if you saw this, but you know how we've been like Disney and other like media companies have put like content warnings on shows that were made a while ago. Like I was just rewatched Mad Men, and there's an episode where one of the characters they're at like an Old South fundraiser, and Roger Sterling, if you're familiar with the show, comes out in blackface, like shoe polish blackface, and sings like, My Old Mammy or some like Southern song. And at the beginning of the episode, it's like, this episode contains offensive material. We decided to keep it in for like the historical perspective or whatever, because Mad Men's set in the 1950s, 60s, and 60s. Right. So, and that's like, all right, fine. If a private corporation wants to do it, and honestly, it was super offensive by today's standards. So like, whatever. They didn't say that when it originally aired, but now they're doing it now when you stream it online. So in keeping up with this tradition, the National Archives, the people that maintain the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, they too have rolled out content warnings. And now if you go to look at the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, or the Declaration of Independence, you will see a warning on them that they might contain offensive language or Yep. We have gone full idiot on this. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. You mean to tell me that the guys who wrote some of the most brilliant documents related to governance 200 and almost 50 years ago were maybe not in line with today's standards of sensitivity and like racial equality? Mind blown. But like, and the thing that I don't like about this, and this is where I'm going to sound, I'll put my tinfoil hat on, and this is where I'll sound maybe a little crazy. It's like, this is how it starts. It's saying that the idea of self-governance, the idea of individual rights, that these are all contained within a document that is inherently offensive and that is flawed and that was uninclusive. And I forget who it was. It was I think a former slave who, it might have been, I forget, but basically it was a black man in I think the 1800s that basically said that the Declaration and Constitution were not complete and that they were promissory notes for the future. That no, they did not grant us the equal rights. No, they did not give us what we needed, but that it showed the path forward of how we can build a more equal society by guaranteeing individual rights and due process, regardless of your status in society. And the idea now that we're just starting now to chip away at it and saying that, oh, this language is offensive. Because you know what? Yes, the 3/5 compromise, which is written into the Constitution, that is patently offensive. But you know what? If you look at the historical context and understand that without that compromise, this country never would have come together or been formed in the way it was. I get it. I don't like it, but if I was a founding father at the time, I probably would have been like, yeah, you know what? That's a shitty compromise and I don't like it. But if it's going to make us into a union and will allow us to remove ourselves from English tyranny, I would have supported it. And I would have said, you know what, this is the best we can do right now. So it's absurd and it's offensive. And it blew my mind when I read it. And
why don't they say why don't they give a warning that Joe Biden might be offensive whenever he speaks because of what he said 20 years ago?
Yeah,
he said some stuff that's not really too cool, or even just a couple months ago, he said, "You're not black if you don't vote for me." That's offensive. Why don't we have a warning for that?
I think I believe it was Joe Biden during when they were talking about like the busing issue with schools. I believe he said parents don't want to send their children to a racial jungle.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's our president. And meanwhile, if in a show from the 20s, someone dresses in blackface, that needs to be called out and said we can't.
A piece of entertainment that doesn't have any power over anyone, can't legislate you, can't tax you, can't control you, can't jail you, can't kill you. That's offensive, and it needs to be possibly gotten rid of. Oh, and also, yeah.
What about, I hate to sound like one of these people, because when I was younger, I was like, what are you fucking talking about? And I actually enjoy it also. But what about rap music? Or like all music, really? there's some horrible shit said in some songs. Like some stuff I'm not cool with at all, actually. It says bad stuff about murder, about treating people horribly, doing bad things. Why isn't that like marked as not cool? Or
I have been shocked after the whole Me Too movement started. I'm like, oh well shit, it's just a matter of time before the rap industry basically gets blown up. Just for the treatment in the way they discuss women alone.
Yeah.
But it's like, and look, man, I think honestly, and
Mike Pence said, and I feel like I'm defending them a lot, and I don't like these people, but Pence said like he won't have lunch with a girl because like he doesn't want to because that wouldn't be cool. He might be attracted for his wife. I don't know, something weird, and everyone bashed him. But a rapper can say like, bitches suck my dick, bitch, blah blah blah, fuck that, and no one cares.
I always that Mike Pence quote to me, it blows my mind that people use that as a way to attack him, because it's like, you know what? If Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby had that policy, wouldn't that have been better? Would that have been better? I feel like we would have had at least a few dozen or maybe a few hundred less victims of sexual assault if that was a policy that they held personally. Yeah. But because it's Mike Pence, it's like, oh, you prude Christian, blah, 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 like whatever. And like, and the thing is now, and sort of related to it, after Me Too, they did this big study. There was a big study they did of like corporate leaders and like CEOs and directors. And they said that male leaders in large corporations following the Me Too and everything that's happened over the past couple of years were much less likely to take on female mentees to mentor them, because they're like, it's just not worth the risk. It is not worth the risk, because I could be accused of something even if I did absolutely nothing wrong. Or maybe I do something and, you know, like Andrew Cuomo, I'm old school. I'm not a pervert. I'm Italian. You know, you pat someone on the back and all of a sudden it's flashing them back to something else. And now all of a sudden you're a rapist, or you're someone who sexually assaulted them or made them feel uncomfortable. Like look, I think the Me Too movement has done many, many good things. I think that and no one's going to talk about it, but the unwritten thing is like, many, especially smaller companies, are probably going to be less likely to hire women, because it's just like, why bother? What's the point? Like and from like a game theory rational action standpoint, I don't defend it, but I understand it. I get it. Like and no one's going to talk about it. It's just going to quietly happen, and that's going to be that.
The thing is too, like I don't know how to say this. I probably should think about this before I say it, but like.
Here we go.
Yeah, it might sound weird, but like, obviously rape is never cool. That's for sure. But like,
where are we going?
But hitting on girls, or making comments and stuff and trying to make a move is sometimes not allowed or not looked well upon as well. But I feel like, why isn't there any empathy for the guy sometimes? Because like, a guy can't control his what his dick is doing. Like, yeah, you can keep it in your pants, but if you're attracted to a girl, you're attracted to a girl. And if you think she's single and you want to try and make a move, like, you're gonna try and make a move. And like, because it's not a good move, or you didn't do it well, or the girl wasn't receptive to it, that's seen as like that guy being a creep or not cool and whatever. And it's like, just like a girl should be able to dress however she wants, a guy should be able to pursue a romantic partner. And some aren't well trained at it, but that doesn't mean we should bash them.
Well, look, and I think you're exactly right, and maybe put a finer point on it, because I think it's the difference. Like, look, if you're a guy who hits on a girl and the girl's like, no, I'm not interested, and you continue, you're a creep, you're a weirdo, you can fuck right off, and you should be ostracized. If you're someone who, it seems to be a flirtatious relationship, and you go in for a kiss and the girl like turns her head and you just sort of peck her on the cheek, like, that's not the same as what Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby did.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are too many people now that consider those things to be like really close together or almost the same thing, and it's not. And Matt Damon actually got in trouble for this, because he made some comment about being like, Well, I think we should understand that like what Al Franken did is not the same as like what Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein. I forget who he used as comparison point, and he got absolutely torn to shreds for that. And it's like that is a completely true statement.
Exactly.
Like if I had, you know, if I'm thinking about, you know, my wife or my daughter, or if I had a daughter, like if I had to choose either they get the Al Franken or they get the Harvey Weinstein, it's not even a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go Al Franken being sort of a creepy weirdo every time.
Yep.
Like, not even thinking about it.
I'm glad you rephrased like what I said, because the way I said it wasn't nearly as good. That sounded a lot more.
When you started off with, we all agree rape is bad, I was really worried where we might end up. So
I had to preface it with that just in case it came off wrong. I don't know, but that was pretty dope.
Yeah, no, we're in a really weird time. Yeah, you got anything else?
No, I don't think so. That was plenty. I had a blast. That was a great time. I was actually gonna say this will be our closing. I was gonna say this off air, but send me your Bitcoin wallet. I'm gonna send you just a little thank you of appreciation, and just because I have too much these days, I gotta spread it around.
Well, geez, man,
I don't have too much. I'm kidding, but my value definitely went up a lot this week, and I feel like sharing it out a little.
Gotta keep you under that 1 billion mark so you can have a dating future.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Like it's not my fault.
Bleed off some of that wealth.
Yeah, exactly. But awesome talking to you. I every time I talk to you, it's always fun, enjoyable, and I learn a lot. And then I realize I got to really be careful about how I say things. But as always, great time. Thanks, Todd. I'll see you next week.
Jer.
This is the week that was, or the week we missed. We'll get it soon. We got it.
Who cares?
All right, peace out.